Good evening. Welcome to the May 20th, 2026 Finance Committee meeting. May I please get a roll call?
Apple.
Here.
Skipper.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Ghost. Mr. Gumney.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
And Mayor St. John is absent, 6 present. We have quorum.
Okay, and we had a meeting on March the 18th. Everyone's had a chance to look at that, but looking for a motion to approve.
Well, I will make that motion.
All right, thank you.
I'll second.
And second, okay, we have, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Gumney.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved.
Okay, I understand Ms. Steffen is not here this evening, so Mr. Hennessy is going to take the role of being the finance director this evening. So I will turn the keys over to you to start us off.
All right, thank you,
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman. I am sure that Dana is going to listen to this Finance Committee later. So Dana, if I've messed anything up, please be sure to correct that in a future Finance Committee meeting. So, all right, first item on the agenda is the first quarter investment review. So in your packet is the standard report that Dana has put together, I think maybe the last year and a half or so, each quarter. So maybe the important points to point out here is about 30% of the city's total investments are in overnight liquidity. I think she's talked a little bit about that, the ability to draw that down if we needed to for some, operating purpose. But the total cash investment is $23.6 million as of March 31st. So a little over 30%, like I said, in overnight liquidity, 70% of that in the longer term investments with Fifth Third Securities. So below that, you can see the amounts that are in each account. First Commonwealth Bank, 3.9 million, Star Ohio, 3.4, and Fifth Third Securities, 16.2. The other maybe important point to note is that the overnight liquidity accounts have annual percentage yields, 2.88%, 3.79%, which is below the longer term investments that we have at 3.9. So I know over the course of the last year or so, she has been transferring some funds out of these shorter term accounts and into the longer term. So I think you can kind of see how that investment strategy is working. That said, the rate environment continues to shift, and so she'll continue to monitor that and make adjustments as necessary. The other, I guess, point I would make on this first page is down at the bottom, the laddered investments with Fifth Third consist of 12+% in FDIC insured accounts, and the balance 87.8% in government bonds backed by the U.S. Treasury. So pretty safe investments for the Fifth Third pieces. On the next page, the economic update, she had indicated to me that this generally pulls this from a report that she gets from the Fifth Third account and the city's, the investment advisor that she works with on that. I would point out that the Fed held rates at the 3.5 to 3.75% rate at its last open markets meeting. So just to give you a sense of where that is, but there is a fair amount of difference of opinion in that group with an 8-4 vote over whether or not to reduce rates. So again, a shifting rate environment. So something to keep in mind. And for those who are following the news, the Fed board chair position transitioned in mid-May as well. So something to keep an eye on. And then the rest of the packet are the Fifth Third Securities. I don't know that I would have a lot to say about any of them, except to say that that detailed listing of the accounts lists not only the account itself, but the current book yield on the far right-hand side, which you can see 3.5, like for example, 3.75% for the Federal Home Loan Bank investment, 4.123, et cetera, et cetera. So again, all of that then combined is what gets us back to the 3.933 return rate for Fifth Third. So unless there are any questions that I probably can't answer, that's most of what Dana would want me to share with you. So.
Any questions for Daryl on the Q1 investment review? Okay, looks like we move on to appropriation increase / changes.
All right, so the next item in your packet is ordinance number 2026.01.1 first amended. I want to go over the proposed appropriation increases or changes to the 2026 city budget. This ordinance is on the council agenda for first reading this evening, and then the next ordinance that's in the packet will also, the credit card policy is also on there. So again, only on for the first reading this evening, so there will still be an opportunity to hear more from Dana, if you like, before we act on it. So in terms of the appropriation increase items, I'll just walk you through the list of what the proposed changes are. So for the general fund, there's a proposal to increase the police department's supply line item by $4,000. That's equal to a donation that we received from the Eagles, and it will be used to purchase custom patches. I think America 250 patches for our police department. The next item on there is the wage fund in the administration account. This is for the assistant city manager. So we filled the assistant city manager position. Originally, we had it budgeted for the development director position, but we filled it as an assistant city manager instead. So we need to make that adjustment there moving forward. The next one, community events, proposed a $10,000 increase. So in this particular line item, so we are in the midst of America 250, although not that there are a lot of expenses that the city's incurring as a result of that. They are raising funds as a committee to fund most of their activities, but we do anticipate increased or expanded programming throughout 2025 that may result in some additional costs. We are making a bigger commitment to the Civic Association for the fireworks display because we wanted to enhance that a little bit in 250 or in this year. And then we also have two new signature events coming online later this year that will require some costs. One of them is the Sunbury Marathon, and the other one is the Wing Fest at Freedom Park. It does that, Carla. I can't get it all the way close, but anyway. So just trying to get just a little bit more money in there to get through this year. I'm not saying that I think this is a permanent uptick, but for 2026, that's the reason for that. The next item, street department, $33,650. So I think you may know that we were plowing streets in Price Ponds and Rolling Hills. These are neighborhoods that the city has not taken complete control of the streets yet, and we did it under contract with the developer. So that's the amount that we charge them this year for snow and ice services. So we receive this as a payment from them. So the appropriation here then is to basically increase our salt account so that Jake can go back out and purchase some salt. We're a little low on that. And when we get to the expenses, I think you'll see kind of where that stands.
So Dale, for clarification, we received reimbursement for the salt services we provided, and that's just going back into the budget, which will show as an increase, but it really is just put back in from the developers to cover the cost.
Yeah. I don't know if I would call it a reimbursement. I mean, that we were paid for services that we delivered for them. But
okay, that makes sense.
And those numbers could change next year as the city, has the potential to take on new streets. We wouldn't be billing the developer for that work. So, and then the last item in general fund is a transfer out. This is a capital projects account for the Kittner intersection. So you may recall at the last council meeting, we approved a new fund for capital projects, $154,000. So we had received a payment for a traffic impact study, fair share payment made by D.R. Horton. So this went into the general fund and now needs to come out of the general fund and go over to that new account. So again, that's just a transfer of cash essentially, but we need the appropriation to do the transfer. Next up then is the $4,250 for the joint recreation district. So we've appropriated $50,000 this year, and our neighboring jurisdictions are proportionally investing as well. So Galena and Brookshire Township. But when we finished up the 2025 year, we had budgeted $46,000 in total cost. We only spent 36,000 of that, leaving about 10,000. Now we'd like to basically reappropriate that $10,000 proportionally into the current year to cover legal and administrative expenses. The rest of their budget is basically going to be used to finish up the second phase of community center planning. And so we'll ask the other communities to make a contribution as well, but in their proportional share. The next item is the sewer fund reimbursement. This goes to Pulte, a sewer tap overpayment. So for some of you, you may not know this, but the Sunbury Meadows lift station and the trunk line that serves that area, which helped build out Sunbury Meadows community. Many years ago, there was a deal struck where they oversized both the pump station and the line itself. And then we made a commitment to pay back the developer for the oversizing to help, basically allow for some additional expansion north. So this probably went into effect 10 to 15 years ago. We've only recently started making payments on it. And those payments come from new developments that occur within I'll call it a tributary area. I'm not sure that's exactly the term that was used, but so there's a charge that's assessed to the property owners when they do their tap fee, and a portion of that then goes back to Pulte, and that's what this is. So this is just the appropriation to be able to make that payment to them this year. And then the final items are capital projects. So there are two items here. $750,000 for a roundabout at Golf Course Road in Cheshire, $400,000 for the Cheshire Signal. So the first one, the $750,000. So we are working with the Delaware County Engineers Office. This is to install the roundabout at that intersection of Golf Course and Cheshire Road. The total cost of the roundabout is about $2.1 million. Our share is $750,000. So we need to appropriate the funds to basically make our contribution to the Delaware County engineer, and they will build it out next year, maybe. Or do we think next year they build? Okay. Yeah. So we'll be moving the sewer this year. That's Little Walnut Creek Interceptor Phase 2A project. It'll open the area up so that they can ultimately build the roundabout in that case. Okay. So we'll make our contribution. And then we are working with the Sunbury Meadows NCA and the school district to receive a reimbursement of the $750,000 from NCA charges paid into the Sunbury Meadows New Community Authority. So we anticipate getting these funds back, but we'll get them paid back with an NCA charge eventually. And then the final item, the Cheshire Signal. So we've talked a little bit about the new alignment of Cheshire Road, aligning with the Hitachi Astemo Drive. So this is a signal to be at that intersection. The city is responsible for putting the signal in place. We will get a grant, or we have received a grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation for a portion of this, but it'll depend on the total cost of the signal installation. We have put out a advertisement for the component parts of the project of the signal itself. So that is underway. We just need to get the appropriation in place to take care of that. So those are the items. Questions or comments on any of them?
Just so I understand, the sewer fund for the 190, we've already collected that through tap fees on the Pulte development. Yeah. It's a matter of now putting it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then is the clarity on the 4,000. I'm not sure if I follow the donation part of that. The Eagles, the 4,000 to police.
Yeah, the Joint Recreation District. So when we,
he's talking about the Eagles donation to the police department? Is that what you're talking about?
This 4,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that us paying? Is that them donating? Like, I guess I'm not following.
I'm sorry. So they donated $4,000 to us.
Okay.
So we put it in the bank account, but until we appropriate the funds, we can't spend it.
Excellent.
But they've given the donation so that the police department can buy patches to put
That's
on
great.
sleeves. So yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. So like I said, this is on the council agenda for first reading this evening. Dana will be here to answer any questions before we ask council to act.
Any hard grilling questions for Daryl before Dana gets back? Okay, all right.
I will, yeah, and then there's one other item in the packet, although I don't remember the packet. So 14. So packet page 14, there's one change to the capital budget for 2026. It doesn't have any kind of a cost impact, but you may remember we talked about swapping out 3 pieces of equipment that our service department has. So it's and I've crossed through them here. So it's replaced the 2014 Ford F-150 for $40,000, replaced the 33 compact trailer for $30,000, and replaced the John Deere X740 for $20,000. So all that equals $90,000, and our service team is asking to, instead of purchasing those 3 pieces of equipment, to purchase a single compact track loader. This will be basically a skid steer. It'll enable them to, well, it's got lots of functionality, but one of the things that I think particularly interested in doing is it helps with the cemeteries and the burials. They'll be able to place mats, like carry them out and place them along the way so that we're not damaging the turf as much as has been done historically. And then they're always going back and fixing the turf. So this is a way to kind of minimize that double work. So, so again, no change in the total amount, but it's a change in the equipment that will be purchased. And again, we had talked about this a couple of months ago, and I said when the budget revision came forward, we would bring this back. So that's what that is. All right.
All right, any questions for Daryl on appropriations? All right, thank you, Daryl. Looks like we're on to the credit card policy.
Right, so next page, packet page 15. So in 2022, we established a credit card policy with the city. So this was the first revision to that credit card policy. And so the key changes are this. Right now, the total amount that can be spent on all credit cards is $5,000 per month. This request is to increase that total amount to $9,900 and to add one additional card holder to the list. So the current policy allows for the street supervisor, the wastewater treatment plant supervisor, police chief, deputy police chief, and the director of finance. They all have a card, and it's capped at $1,000 now. This change would add the street crew leader to that list. So you now have 6, changing the total to $9,900. So each card then would be a maximum of $1,650. So, and a lot of this again is just that the service department, we've got a little bit bigger team than we had before. We've got a crew leader in place who's sort of independently working projects as well and needs to be able to make purchases without chasing down the street supervisor all the time. So just to feel like this is going to create a little bit more, functionality, if you will.
So, just to understand, collectively, the max on the card is $9,000. Each individual card out of the 6 gets the $1,650 limit to reach the $9,000.
Yes.
And that's okay. And the increase from 5 to 9, I don't know if there's any theory behind that, or just like we're noticing that our expenditures are going more than what the 5, so 9 gives us that cushion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically the answer.
Okay,
You know, I think Dana maybe can add more than that, but yeah, we have run up against the cap several times and sort of have had to just whatever that is, make a early payment in order to free up the funds.
Right.
Has been, I think, one strategy, but primarily it's just to, again, that we're finding that the expenditures, again, not big expenditures, but they're totaling more than $1,000 per month. So,
Sure.
and now I think the primary reason here is really the service department more so than the others. Police department might have these same issues, except they already have 2 cards. So for them, it seems to be working,
Okay.
but service had not. So, and then for finance, the director of finance, all of the administrative team basically uses that card. So, yeah.
And this is just a first reading tonight as
Yeah.
well. No immediacy on any of that.
Right. No action. Exactly.
Okay.
Just curious on the question on that, did they submit receipts? How's the reconciliation work?
They do. And in the policy, although I can't remember exactly, the finance clerk is the one who reviews the individual receipts. Yeah, and to basically reconcile them back to the card. And if it doesn't reconcile, then we have to kind of sort through what that really means. We really historically have not had issues with that. We had named, I think, in this case, Jessica into that role because she didn't have a card necessarily. So rather than have Dana do it or the city manager do it, that was why she was appointed. I think the primary contact, I guess, for this purpose. So yeah, she does that.
And I think the last time there was any type of change was back like 4 years ago, I think, 2022 maybe. If I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
mistaken.
that's when we established the policy. So this is
yeah,
the
okay.
first time we've ever made a change to this
Right,
policy.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And things have gone up just a
Yep.
little bit in the last 4 years, so.
A little bit.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good on the credit card policy. All right,
All right.
moving on to the usuals.
To the usual, that's right. All right, packet page 17. So revenue, year-to-date revenue report by fund. So let me just point out a few items here. The first one, the third item down, income tax. So we're about a third of the way through the year. We are a third of the way through the year, through April. You can see that the total collected is 29%, a little bit lagging a little bit behind the year-to-date estimate. But having said that, I did talk to Dana. She's indicated that she got what is a pretty sizable payment from or check from Rita recently. She thinks this number gets back on track again next month. So I don't think there's anything to worry about, but something to at least watch. Next one I would point out is about 2/3 of the way down the page. There's state grants, $200,000 budgeted, 0 received to date. So a couple of things here. One is a $50,000 zoning code grant. So this is the grant we received from the Ohio Department of Development. So we do expect to get our share of that grant payment here soon, because the end of the drafting period, I think, is May or June of this year. So actually probably May, so that they could bill it by June for the end of the state fiscal year. So we do expect to get that payment. But the next one down there, $150,000 signal modernization grant. So that was not awarded. We've received notice that we did not receive the award there. So we're not likely to get to the $200,000 total, but we didn't spend any funds connected to signal modernization. We actually connected that to the grant. If we didn't get the grant, we weren't going to move forward with signalization.
Is that what I spoke about at the State of the City address? Now I look like a buffoon.
No.
No, okay. I'm just
No.
kidding. That stuff happens, so congratulations to whoever did get it.
No, but we are doing other things.
There you go.
We need to do signals. We haven't given up on signals. That's any consolation. Another final thing I would just say is, if you look down at the total, the last line for the grant for the general fund, we have collected year to date 34%. Again, right on track with the percentage of the year that we're through. So again, some are lagging, but generally feel like we're right on pace. The next page, one of the things I think we generally point out are the impact fees. So you can see that about a third of the way down is the first one, impact fees for police. The next one down, municipal building, and then a little farther down the page, we've got a parks and a roads investment. So a couple of things here is, you'll note the note on the right-hand side talks about Woodland Lake. So if we look at the zoning report that we have in the council packet, you can see that project is starting to begin. I mean, they haven't begun the vertical construction component yet, but they are beginning to submit paperwork and payments associated with that to get their zoning certificates. It shows 27 new homes feeding into the contributions here. Again, the end of the month for April shows we've got 44 homes. So again, it's a timing issue a little bit, but and the 44 new homes for 2026 is just a little over the levels for 2025. So again, feel like we're going to be pretty much on pace with what the estimates were for impact fees. And the only other thing I would say about the parks impact fee, which is about 2/3 of the way down, this is not assessed against industrial, commercial, or office space. It only gets applied if it's a zoning certificate for a residential build. So you can see those numbers are just a little bit lower than some of the others, but. All right, on the next page, under the Parks and Recreation Fund, the bond proceeds, about the middle of the page, you can see $2.56 million. So that is, those are the bond proceeds from the J.R. Smith Park. So we have received our loan. And if you've noticed, the park is under construction. So we'll begin to incur expenses associated with that as well. So the funds are there to make the payments. The next item to note is about 2/3 of the way down. So in the category of the sewer fund, there's a Little Walnut Creek Interceptor, a special assessment. So LWCI SP assessment. You can see that there's 0 budgeted, but there's $132,000 received year to date. What Dana had indicated to me is that the state auditor recommended that we establish a new account for this. So that's what she's done, is she's just separated it from these other accounts that are in this fund and moved any prior year or current year amounts into that. So, but maybe just a little bit more about this special assessment. So this is an assessment that's applied to all the homes in Rolling Hills and Bryce Ponds. They make a payment as part of their property tax. We receive the funds and pay the debt service for the extension of the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor, which goes to support those 2 neighborhoods. So we are collecting at this point enough revenue through the special assessment to be able to pay our debt service. So that's a really good sign. And and the last item, thank you, Carla, for helping to explain this. The very last item on here, another state grant. You'd see it's at 2.35 million. Year-to-date receipts are 0. So what we're waiting on, $250,000 from the OPWC. This is the grant for the Morning Street, Cherry Street corner down here. So as we do our street program, we will start to get that grant payment. And then the other item here references the State Route 37 widening project, but I think we've got this in the wrong year. So we anticipate collecting those funds and spending that money in 2027, which Carla has been talking about that schedule for a while. So I don't think there's anything to be nervous about there. Just wanted to note that.
And Daryl, this may be a question for Dana now, but back on page 19, what's the capital projects OWDA proceeds, 12.5 million, and we've collected 30,000. Any idea? It's like 3/4 of the way down, right above your sewer fund.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe that's that's a large amount and little collected, so I just kind of stood out.
I don't know. That's a good question. I will ask Dana to
Okay.
give some more perspective on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the last item under year-to-date revenue report. So packet page 20, that first item, transfer in. So this is where the note over on the right-hand side, the $154,000 for the DR Horton Section 1 traffic impact study. So this is that item that I talked about. So we're increasing the general fund appropriation so we can transfer funds out. This will basically receive those funds. And this is the place where they will receive the funds and sit until that capital project is ready to move forward. All right, so that's the revenues. On the expenditure side, so packet page 21. All right, first item, cruiser repair. You can see that's about 43% of expenditure year to date, paid to repair the cruiser. There's an insurance claim pending. We just have not received the reimbursement for that. So that's why you see that number higher than its proportional share. The supplies for police department also a little bit above, tracking a little bit higher than budgeted, but it includes $7,500 for body worn camera. It also notes that that's a grant, so we are receiving grant funds to reimburse for that. So next item on here under the zoning department, the construction or contract services for zoning, 37% year to date. If you look on the right hand side, the OpenGov annual fee, so the total fee was paid for the year. That's what kind of skews this number up. And the Verdantis zoning codes update. So again, we've paid Verdantis, but we will receive a grant from the Ohio Department of Development to reimburse for their work. So that's why she put the star there. So
I saw that in the check register for 26,000 and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a big check. But
Yep. All right, next page. For fiscal department, the contractual services fiscal at 11,330 or 51% of total. This is the ClearGov annual payment. So again, total payment made at the beginning of the year. So nothing, I think too significant there. Next item, supplies and land and buildings. Spent 45% year to date, 22,715. The note on the right-hand side, though, most of that has been the repair of the steps at the old church parking lot. So if you haven't seen those, you should. They look fantastic. And thank you to the Streetscapes Committee, because this is one of the items that when the committee did its walk around, noticed these steps.
shout out to Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. It works, eh? The next category, other governmental departments. These are all related to property taxes. So these are semi-annual payments, not monthly payments. So they also tend to trend a little bit higher. But again, all semi-annual payments related to property tax fees. Good question for Dana on, okay, what are the fees? Next up, supply. Okay, here we go. So the supplies for the street. If you look over to the right-hand side, the comment, $30,000 in road salt. So as I mentioned earlier, this is really what that 33,000 plus that we received from Romanelli and Hughes or from Rolling Hills and Price Ponds will basically be used to kind of backfill the road salt budget for the balance of the year. And repairs and maintenance. So we've talked, I think, a little bit about the Western Star repair. That's one of the snow trucks. It's one of the big trucks. So it needed some suspension work. But this still is, I think, something to watch for us. It is trending high. Maintaining equipment is not inexpensive. So again, probably a line item to keep an eye on for the balance of the year. All right, general fund, or I'm sorry, street fund. The next one down, so department or debt service principal. This is a pretty modest amount. This is an OPWC payment, again, semi-annual payment. The next item, capital highway, 97% expenditure year to date. So just a little under $25,000. The note to the right, Safe Streets for All, roadway safety action plan engineering expenses. So the full grant amount was received in 2025. So the expenses kind of spilled into this year. So that's why it's showing a higher number, I think, than we originally budgeted. On the next page is a new printer purchase for the mayor's court. So that's showing a 43% expenditure year to date for that account. Cemetery. $7,000 lumber for grass protection. So these are the mats that I referenced a little bit earlier that they've been building. So they built them themselves. And so that's again, hopefully that saves us a lot on the maintenance on the backside for the cemetery and cemetery related expenses. At the bottom of the page, supplies, sewer plant. Okay, so there are 3 items in here. So this is 37% of total expenditure. So it's not trending too high, but 3 of the 4 items that are listed, there's a roof repair, an Ohio EPA payment, and a uniform payment. All of those are really one-time only expenses, or we anticipate one-time only for the year. If you back those out, we'd be at about 30% expenditures. So I think we're tracking pretty close to where the budget would be. All right, next up, the sewer fund. Actually, I don't really have anything there. These are just loan payments. Yeah, so semi-annual payments. So, and I think that's it. So again, I don't think anything that's too alarming. But if anybody had any questions.
Any questions for Daryl on the year-to-date comparison reports? All right, on to the check register. So it's from yours.
All right, Sean thinks he has solved one of the mysteries. So let's go back to that one. What page was that one?
I just thought you were doing a dramatic pause for the check.
Yeah, you know, on page 19.
It's about a pregnant pause, huh?
Right.
So you asked about the $12.5 million in the budgeted amount. I think, yeah, after talking to Sean a little bit, I think we had budgeted this percentage of the OPWC bond proceeds coming in for the sewer plant expansion. But that process actually works a little bit different. It's a direct charge from the contractor to OPWC. So we don't actually get the cash in our account and then cycle it through. So that overstates it. As far as the 30,000 that's in there, I think we'll follow up on that, make sure we understand what that is. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And after that dramatic pause. Back at page 25. All right. I think there are only a couple of items that she pointed out to me. One of those is 3 pages in. So we're on page 27. Yeah. So the Accenture payment, $70,000, almost $71,000. So again, Accenture is providing inspection services on the wastewater treatment plant for us. We do have an item on the council agenda that, are we into, I think, the second reading on that one? Third reading. Oh, actually, so good, great timing on this. Yeah. So we do have a budget not a budget revision, a task order modification, a contract modification. Accenture has now taken on full responsibility for contract administration and inspection services related to the wastewater plant. So you'll see a sizable bill here, but again, nothing that's outside of what might be normally expected of those types of services provided. And then on the next page, there's a Morco Electric, $22,800. This is a payment for the police department. We installed key card access to some of the interior doors. So that's what that payment is for. And we look to do that over in the municipal building soon. I think those were the items I was going to call out unless anybody's got a question.
Any questions on check registry?
A quick question, Daryl, on CNC Electric Motors Service there, page 26. $5,900, and then Charge Point, $3,183. What are those for?
I don't know what CNC Electric is. Charge Point, that is, so we'll look for that. CNC, I'll ask Dana to follow up on that one. But Charge Point, that is our charging station.
Oh, yes.
Over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The battery.
Charge.
Okay.
Yep.
The EV, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's a cost to us, but there's also there's a revenue side to that as well. I mean,
Yes.
people do pay for that service.
Is that an annual cost?
I think I don't know. Let's check on that. I think it's monthly, but I need to check.
$3,000?
Yeah, it might be high. Yeah, let us check on that one.
All right, I think that moves us on to bank to book reconciliation. Year-to-date income tax. Thumbs up.
Yeah, so I did talk to Dana a little bit about, year over year for the income tax collections. So you'd see we're 4.3% up over the prior year. That's a little bit slower than, our historical growth has been for the last couple of years. Again, this is one where she'd indicated to me she did receive a sizable check from Rita late in the month of April that didn't get recorded. So again, she thinks that this starts to align moving forward, but something to keep an eye on. I did note that, or will note that, the book balance here at about $24.1 million. I think it's up about $500,000 from the March 1 report. So, you know, continue to sort of, I guess, be positive in terms of revenue growth versus expenditures. So I think that's it. So unless there are questions.
Questions on the income tax or collections?
Nope.
I think, and there are none.
All right, thank you. I've got some questions to ask Dana, but she'll be back in touch on those.
Hey, any other questions or order of business for the finance committee? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Motion by Mr. Ghost, and I'll second. Roll call, please, or discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.